All right, so the next section of the schedules are what we called 8x4s, and we have a set of these today and a set of these tomorrow, and they're relatively rapid fire, so each of the next four folks are gonna have 4 minutes, didn't mean to scare you guys, 8 minutes when they come up to talk about what they're working on. And the reason we do these is because we're so excited, and I'm sure you guys already are, having had a networking break and breakfast, about the really great innovation that's happening in these playful learning spaces. And we want to be able to give some time, because we obviously can't have everybody come up and do talks and panels, but we want to make sure we have enough time for some of those innovators to talk a little bit about what they're doing, and honestly to prompt further conversation, whether it's at lunch. A lot of the folks that are doing these 8x4s or that you've seen in these spaces are also going to be at the demo party tonight, so you can talk to them and drink at the same time, which is even better. That's ideal. So what I'm going to do real quick, so that I don't have to keep coming back up, is I'm actually going to open the other presentations so that you guys can then come up, and then you guys can close out and the next person can come up. So I don't have to keep coming up here in between all of the presentations. And then we're going to start with our friends at Speak Agent. In just one second. I can't multitask. I can't talk at the same time. Let's see. All right, so you should be good to go. Sorry. So we're starting off with our friends at Speak Agent.
Okay, great. My name is Ben Grimley. I'm CEO and founder of Speak Agent. I'm here with Katie Cunningham, our CTO. Speak Agent is a platform for K-5 teachers to provide them with customized language learning games for their English language learners and also bilingual programs. So Katie comes to us from NASA, much more exciting than anything I've done, as well as Cox Media. My background in ESOL goes back to actually many years ago. I was an ESOL teacher and an English as a foreign language teacher. Overseas in Nanjing and Beijing, and then later for Des Moines Public Schools before I came back east. And so what I wanted to share with you today before Katie will give a demo of what we do in a nutshell is just a little bit of background information. So it's always important, I think someone else in their presentation this morning was talking about the why. So the why for us is really shown in this chart. Is the gap, the achievement gap between English language learners and the general education population is about 20% in terms of achievement from basically the very, very beginning. And we just heard in the last talk about how that gap starts young. Well, you know, it starts especially, it's consistent all the way through 12th grade and results in 25% fewer graduations at the end of the cycle. And we also know from research in second language acquisition that kind of propensity to become fluent in your second language starts taking a nosedive. So we have everything in terms of our funding in the US education system completely backwards with language acquisition, right? We've got, you know, as opposed to, let's say, in the Netherlands, where they're investing heavily in learning English and other languages in pre-K and grade school. Here we have 90% of high school programs have a second language, but 25% of primary schools. So how does that jive with this chart, right? So that's another big problem. We also see, even now, a gap. And that gap particularly is big for English language learners in terms of a lack of digital content that serves that particular need. So that's where we saw an issue. And we also see an issue, and this is general for K-12, of teachers spending hundreds of dollars every year, almost $500 a year, out of pocket for classroom materials, which is kind of a crime. And we also see, this is a picture of the Gutenberg printing press up here. We also see that great technology providers from Google to other providers in the last few years have been providing excellent tools for teachers to make their own materials. So now they're self-publishers, which is great. But unfortunately, they're spending a bunch of their time here in the copy room because they're having to print it and make copies and distribute it to their kids, right? So where we come in is we provide a platform that gives teachers to create their own content for language learning on demand. So it's really around the speed and the flexibility. Teachers have, at the K-5 level, have a lot of different kind of program models. They have pull-outs where they grab kids and they put them in a separate class and do their ESL. They have plug-ins or push-ins where they co-teach and you have the grade level teacher or the science teacher together with the ESL specialist and they're trying to work it in. They have to now, teachers are having to integrate the STEM content or the STEMella content together with the language learning, right? So that's tough. So another thing we do is open license. We want to make sure that teachers can collaborate by taking what their colleagues have made and reusing it, revising it, remixing it. That's really key to an open language learning environment. And then the other stuff you get. So I'm going to turn it over to Katie.
Hello, everyone. This is going to be a super fast tour. This is normally a 25 to 30-minute talk, and we have 8 minutes. And Ben took the phone with my timer. So, I'm sorry. It's okay. So, what we do is we actually have two interfaces, and one is for the teacher and one is for the students. And here's just a dashboard for the teacher, like most dashboards. Now, the actual meat of the product is here. What teachers do is they create a word list. It's all the lists that might be used in a lesson, or another teacher has requested, hey, can you make a word list based off of the life cycle of the butterfly, that kind of thing. What they're doing here is it's kind of tiny, but they've entered in star. And what happens is we actually go into our database and we look for every word that is star. And it shows them here are all the words that have that contained within it. So they can pick the right one. So instead of a movie star, they want the physical, like, ball of gas in the sky. They want that kind of star. They select that. It's added to the list. You actually see it at the bottom. Now, one of the interesting things, like, okay, it's added a word. One of the interesting things about this is it actually adds a lot of rich assets. There's audio for it, there's a description, there's videos, there's lots of photos of it, because we like a symbol as a way to, be an easily identifiable thing for a child, but also to reiterate, like there's a picture of Mars, there's a picture of the Mars surface, we could add a picture of the Mars rover, that kind of thing. So they get all these rich assets. From those word lists, they can create lessons, and the lessons have different modules, different games that go with them. And when it's assigned to a child, this is what it looks like. So you have some text they might read, they can review words. These are all some of the games we have. And so word review, they can go through, it's self-guided, they can see a roll-up of everything, they can explore the words. Now, one of the important things that we hit on over and over again is that we want them to have the audio and all the visuals and the words, and that it's hitting the child all at once, because that is one of the ways that you can't do that on paper, that it's really hard to do that in the classroom. We also have flashcards, which is like your standard flashcards, but every time they make a correct response, they get the audio, the visual, like everything all at once to help connect those concepts. And the same with our matching game. That is the end of my tour. There is more. I had to cut out like 25 slides or something. So track me down during the conference if you want to see the rest of it. I can give you a fuller tour.
Oh, wait, there's more. No. Just a couple quick last things. So, these may sound like simple tools or simple games, and they are. We start with very simple games because the authoring platform, which Katie built, architected, is really the crux of it. It's the platform to create the content on the fly and within a matter of a couple minutes, create all these games and lessons and have classroom management tools around it. And so we have a whole bunch of some of the largest school systems in the country piloting with us today. We've done no marketing whatsoever. And we also have been just floored when we were at TESOL, which is Teachers of English as Second Speakers of Other Languages, was it last week? My brain's dead now. 2 weeks ago, all right. In Baltimore, we had 20 different people from 20 different countries sign up with different language centers. Heartbreaking to hear what's going on in the Venezuela and how they're having trouble getting materials. So this is a great tool for them. I just want to leave with a parting thought, which is that some research done by Pearson about a year and a half ago was showing that it's really the K-5 kids who are not only most motivated to use digital materials in the classroom for fun, but also they think it helps them improve their academic achievement. So that's really key. And so just to sum up, we're really around teacher-moderated learning. This is not something you use and go off in a corner and play as a self-study tool like a Rosetta Stone. This is really something that integrates with, aligns with the curriculum, the standards, what the classroom teacher needs. And I think we just don't want to lose sight of that in the formal education side of a teacher. That's important context, going back to our Rubik's Cube, that we're talking about teacher-moderated, and that's an important way in which our games are played, which is different than others. So please come visit us tonight at the Nerd Center. We'd love to talk to you. All right, thanks so much.